Most people know me from LinkedIn. My personal network's about 400,000 people there. I've gotten in the neighborhood of 100 million views. And at this point, I've helped about 100 people become LinkedIn influencers as well. I'm involved with a project right now called Information. We're effectively a blockchain solution to data privacy. And so we just sold out our first 2 rounds of our token. We've also got an NFT minting engine. So we just minted Salesforce's first ever NFT. The most exciting thing that I've got going on right now is what I'm doing with my coaching. We're automating it in the metaverse. Hey everybody, this is Cory Warfield. I am a viral growth coach and Web3 tech entrepreneur, and you are listening to Stay High.
Home run, baby. Home run.
Flip it.
I love the tough calls. I like them. Get better every day.
With aspirations of selling for close to $1 billion.
All you got to do is you got to stay high.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Act to Stay Hot, Act 35. Troy, how you doing today? Happy Tuesday. I'm joining from Miami. I had to take care of a little bit of family stuff. Doing a lot of, I've taken care of the grandmother as she's going through some things, but we're still.
We don't know if that's true. We think he just wanted to go to Miami, to be honest, because he just came back from the Bahamas literally a month to the date, and now he's in Miami. So we don't know. The jury's out on that.
I'm an island boy, just trying to. Yeah, this is actually just like a preloaded background, and like you just can't see the beach and the.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. And
Troy, it's minus 20 here in Toronto, buddy. So
I know. It's a 40 degree difference from when I left. All right, before we get into everything in Troy's world and Greencube's world, we have a word from our sponsor, GCX. Make sure you go sign up. Run the clip. Run that.
Go.
This act is sponsored by Greencube X, a SaaS subscription service that delivers you 40 of the highest quality AI-powered leads in B2B in your direct ideal customer profile. It saves salespeople 40% of their time on unproductive outreach. Traditional prospecting tools only deliver 60% accuracies from an ideal customer profile. We deliver to you 100%. Click this link below to follow and sign up for GCX today. Let's go.
Yeah, Troy, talk to me. What's going on in the office? How are things?
Good, man. We're rolling. It's funny. I think this new sales strategy is like checking out. We kind of posted a clip about it earlier this week, but it's nice to see kind of everything starting to come to fruition. Boys are excited. Everyone's happy. We also kind of discovered now we're getting some interesting. So it's great actually. We're getting some. We've entered now the enterprise world of GC of like Greencube. So this is super exciting. So now we've always been focused kind of on that mid-market, seed, Series A kind of funded company, and that's tough because ultimately, like some of ththose companies may not work out, right? And there's a little bit of risk in ultimately having clients like that. Like we've had a couple of clients where they just said to us, "We can't afford it. We love what you do. It's great. We're retransitioning, right? We're pivoting, right?" And that's tough. So you never want to have risk. It's tough to have risk. You have risk ultimately when you start a business, but you also have risk in the clients in the market you go after. So
yeah, because
that was something that we discovered. And what's ultimately companies that aren't going to go down unless they're Enron or something like that is ultimately enterprise type of clients, right? And so the tool that we talked about that we've created to ultimately help enterprise salespeople that have millions of leads in their database that how do we help them access new leads, new markets, and new trends for them, leveraging AI? Well, we created a tool for that. It was Greencube X, right? And so we now have like the Oracle NetSuite signed up for the world. So we got one currently. We're signing up for another 3 probably this week or next week. We have another client, which is a public company as well in the US that came to us, and the sales director signed up himself. He's onboarding 6 or 10 more AEs, just the GCX platform. And then he sent me a note this week saying, "Hey, Troy, send me 12, 36, and 60-month pricing." And I was like, "Oh, and he said for like 50 to 100 reps." And I was like, "Okay." So this is like where this is where it's kind of like this is where it's at, right? Like in it's a longer sell though, right? So like I did get that introduction, right? I did the onboarding. I built that trust. We're building the case now with 6 to 10 people. presenting the GCX case to the VP or the SVP or the CRO. Okay, wow, we're going to invest $500 to $1 million in this for the next 5 years, right? Like that's cool. Like those are big ticket, large contracts, and it's also just fascinating to see that these, because usually the professionals like that work in these big kind of enterprise type of organizations, the senior AEs and AEs at Salesforce, NetSuite, all these big companies, they've been through like the grind of sales, right? They started as a BDR, they went through an SDR, they've grinded all the way up. And so they know this thing inside out, and they know every tech and sales enablement tool, like known to man. Like they know everything. They know every engagement tool. They know the CRMs. They know intent buying tools. They know analytics tools like Seismic. Like they know everything that known to man. And we're coming in with this thing, and we go, "What do you think?" And we literally have people jump on and say, like, I think this is a game-changing product, like literally. And we didn't ask them to say that. There was no plug. It was like, what do you genuinely think? Like, do you think, how are you using it? They're like, no, I love it. I use this every day. So this is like, again, lead delivery over lead search. Like it's just such a common theme. We save these people so much of their time, match them with their best prospects, and it's a game changer, man. And you've heard Cory talk. We're going to hear from Cory ultimately at some point today, and you'll hear him talk about how we need to ultimately, how he connects with people too.
Yeah, and how important the connection is when you're doing anything.
Right.
I think that's also a new stage in your development and Greencube's development is like, it's like you've developed, like you've been doing this long enough where you're like selling these mid-markets and, small to mid-market businesses. But I think what's interesting now is like this is another level stepping stone for you to go into the enterprise world.
Right.
And it's keeping you sharp, and it's keeping you developing and sharpening your skills and the product and selling, and say, hey, this has the opportunity. No, an enterprise company has built themselves to such a level. You're still going to them and saying, hey, but you can still be better even though you're selling multi-million dollars.
Because most of those companies, Tristan, they're public. So the great thing about that is they got to go announce earnings next quarter, right? Their earnings are dropping, or they're flat, or they're not on projections. Well, stock price drops, right? And I think having a tool that's going to optimize your sales team and maybe be able to have a dent in what you do on a revenue side. Like that's remarkable, right? Because all stems. Listen, you got your demand gen marketing funnels. But your sales team needs to always do outreach at these enterprises, and it's great to hear them say that. Ultimately, we can give them a tool that they see value in. Literally, when the tool's only been live for like a month and a bit, right? So we're just in the early. We're just in the not even we're the top of the first of this thing, and it's exciting.
And I want to talk the sales process. How is that made?
It's evolved. It's evolved. We have another part of it now.
Correct. Like, would you say when you first started this company, I don't want to say chaotic because that sounds like you're out of control.
No, it was pure chaos.
It was like making decisions
because it was just me, right? Like it was pure chaos because it was just me, and I didn't know anything about sales. I said that literally in the post this week. It was like 15 months ago, I knew nothing about sales. I knew nothing about I didn't even know the word outreach. I knew that you just send emails to someone if you wanted to talk to them. Oh, I didn't know that was called outreach. Oh, I didn't even discover qualification until like 3 months in. It was like outreach demo, right? And I was like, oh, wow, you probably should have a call and build the relationship with that person, get some questions checked off before you even get to a demo.
Sure.
Right? So the process changed, but I've added a step. I threw another kind of evolution into it for me, not for anyone else, for the aides. So by the time it gets to me, right, like we demo, they love it. I go pricing negotiations. Pricing negotiation takes sometimes 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. Sometimes. Right? So you get through like the top of the funnel, the get through the top funnel with outreach, qualification, the demo. when it gets to demo to negotiations can take 2 weeks, it can take a month, it can take whatever. Well, I have a tool that I can get you on during my negotiations and sales cycle when we're closing on GC outreach. Tristan, what is that tool?
It's okay. That makes sense. It's GCX because
so I can get someone on GCX as a sub while I'm selling them on GC outreach, and we just upgrade. So it's remarkable. I get it's basically a guarantee. It's basically a guaranteed sell. Person gets some value with us during their negotiations period and their due diligence and all that stuff, and I get a new user. It's remarkable.
Do you communicate the way you communicate that is like, hey, I know we're looking to solve this outreach, this part of outreach for your company.
You need help today. I got your back. Let's go onboard you on GCS. You gotta sign up with a corporate credit card. I get you a free trial for the month when we close this deal. Worst case, we'll all go on. We'll help build an audience together. Builds that trust as well, and it gives them some expertise for onboarding. And then I can jump in and I'll actually create an audience with them on GCX on our call. And I'll shoot them some leads 2 days later, saying, "Go have at it, bro."
So what is that called in business where you have like an additional product that you can sell? It's like
GCX is included in GC outreach, right? So they're getting X with outreach, right? So that's another big thing too. They're all interconnected because you can't have GCX, you can't be outreaching GC outreach leads and GCX be separate. It's gotta be one connected platform. So we just give you a little nugget of the whole kind of service, right? And give you the first little bit for free, and you go and start driving business, and you're on the platform. It's amazing.
That's right. But for Johnny, who's thinking of starting a business or just started a business, like that's a good strategy to increase your revenue by, it's almost like getting the customer in the door before they completely sign off on, before they decide that they actually want to buy your product. So that's like it's almost like a product strategy. It's like having a tiered
we're going to talk to, we got Act 37, right? We got Breezy kind of threw me this idea. Like I was she's a thought leader in the space, and terms called product-led growth, right? It's like, how can you leverage your product, your SaaS GCX platform or GCRH platform to go grow. And that's essentially where it's from. And so us growing is us getting new users on the platform, right? So how do I get new users on the platform? I create a search in GCX. You're on mute. Oh, I create a search in GCX. I ultimately go and I transfer the leads to them. They're embedded. We sign them up on a free trial onboarding while we have them in negotiations on outreach. And then they're already in the process. We get some information on who they target, why they target them. It's very synergistic to ultimately where we want to grow.
Agreed. And so like my whole thing is like, if you're starting a company,
right,
don't just fixate that, hey, you have this one product and that's going to be your end all be all. Like almost have some sort of insurance plan that you can like start selling parts of that product, or like divide that product into small bits and give subscriptions or give free trials, and because that gets people in the door.
I think you gotta listen. I think when you start, you gotta give it away for free. If it's new, no one's gonna pay for something that's new that they don't know they need yet.
Exactly.
So how do you get them to know what they don't know they need? It's ultimately free trials, getting them on the platform, usability, onboarding them on GCX, creating an audience, showing them how you can create multiple searches, click, access your search, save your prospects, favorite, create your own little personal CRM, and go. It's remarkable, man.
No, that's great. And I think this is a great transition into our guest for today, because Cory, who we're having on, Cory Warfield, who's the founder, host of a podcast, chairman at Cory Connects. He founded his own B2B SaaS company as well.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a super interesting conversation of how he's been able to scale, grow his LinkedIn following to 400,000 people, right? It's like he's almost mastered the ability of to bring people in his network, like you're trying to like give people a taste of what they don't think is important yet. And that's whatever. So I think he's actually here right now.
Right now. Without further ado, everybody, Cory Warfield.
Yeah, might as well. How you been? How you been? Give us a little rundown on who you are, where you're calling in from, and what's going on in your world.
Yeah, so today I'm calling from Chicago. I've been kind of going back and forth from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, in here. But pretty new to kind of the whole game. I started my first technology company 6 years ago. And is this the show, or are you just wanting some context?
No, we're running like, and it's great. See how like the literally just conversation.
Yeah, we've made it, Cory, so that it's just an organic conversation. We want to learn a little bit more about you, your story. I've already learned. I know a lot about you already, but you want to tell all the viewers.
Yeah, cool. So I think most people know me from LinkedIn. I started getting active there a few years ago, and at this point, I've helped about 100 people become LinkedIn influencers as well. I've got my personal network's about 400,000 people there. I've gotten in the neighborhood of 100 million views, and that's actually made me quite a bit of money personally and helped me scale a couple of my own and a lot of other people's companies. So I think that's what I'm most known for, is just kind of being everywhere on LinkedIn, having viral posts, getting hundreds of thousands of views and engagements, kind of a thing. But through that journey, what I've kind of become able to do is attach myself to projects that I think are super cool. So I'm involved with a project right now called Information. We're effectively a blockchain solution to data privacy. And so we just sold out our first 2 rounds of our token. We've got like SEC clearance, global and US patents. Our technology is really phenomenal. It's built on the Salesforce architecture. We've also got an NFT minting engine. And so we just minted Salesforce's first ever NFT. I'm also one of the founding partners of Influencer Active. We're the world's first business-to-business influencer marketplace. So we've bootstrapped that company to a pretty healthy 6-figure revenue in under a year. We've got a couple global clients, some billion-dollar Fortune 50 clients. So that's been super exciting. I've got kind of a community around what I'm doing with my LinkedIn growth called Cory Connects. So I've got the Cory Connects podcast. I've had gold medal Olympians and self-made multi-billionaires and stuff like that on this show, although I've been kind of slacking on that show because I'm getting ready to launch a new show called Crypto Bros with a buddy of mine that knows way more than I do about crypto and blockchain and Web3 and all that. But I'd say kind of the most exciting thing that I've got going on professionally right now is what I'm doing with my coaching. We're automating it in the metaverse. So we're turning it into kind of this artificially intelligent avatar, right, where people can engage with me. It's informed by initially some millions of data points, but at some point it'll have tens of millions of data points. So people can just have a conversation with it about how to grow on LinkedIn, how to prospect, how to get more relevant followers, how their posts can do better, things of that nature. And the idea with that is to not only continue to build that into kind of the Coryverse, which we're calling Cory World. We've got some cool stuff as far as like interviewing and recruiting and certifications and just everything that kind of touches the professional development world and beyond. And so we've got our cryptocurrency there, and just moving at the speed of light with that. So I know I've given you a lot. I know people say sometimes I'm like trying to drink out of a fire hose, but I'd say top of mind, those are kind of what I think are coming to define me and a little bit about who I am.
Mm-hmm. No, that's the Troy. I'm sitting here.
I told you Cory was going to be great.
I'm like, this is the guy, and it's so cool, Cory. I don't know how much you know about Greencube, but the whole premise behind this show is literally documenting Troy's journey as he builds this tech startup. So there's a ton of similarities there in the prospecting and stuff. But basically, Troy, I want you to kind of ask Cory, any questions you have from like the sales perspective or the prospecting, especially like Cory, I know you're big into the Web3. How's that going to change like the prospecting space in general?
Yeah, I think I really, again, I've known Cory. I think Cory, we met back in 2019, I think actually. And it's pretty funny. The way I actually originally met Cory was I was actually I was working for a consulting for a little bit on my CEO in New York, and we were going to form a LinkedIn influencer kind of network. And so I love to hear that Cory now has basically leveraged and started his own platform, because there was a whole bunch of issues, and ultimately we didn't have the infrastructure to be able to scale up, but ultimately now it's something that's working. But I was always fascinated by Cory because he came from obviously a hospitality background, and that was kind of something that I found interesting. And he had this startup, it was Schedule, right, Cory, at the time? Yeah.
Yep.
And
And
ultimately
we're still around. We're in some kind of lighter M&A talks. You know, we'll never be a unicorn under the current leadership, but
right.
but we were able to help a number of national chains and a lot of restaurants at a time when it was needed.
And I think my biggest I think Cory was one of the first people actually that told me on LinkedIn specifically, Troy, you got to rebrand your profile, because I think my profile at the time I had no background picture, no bio. It was just this guy went to Dartmouth, played hockey, and that was it. And so that was my first kind of step, I would say, into, okay, wow, there's actually, you can do something here on LinkedIn that's truly special. And then after that, I started to create content. Cory actually jumped on a follow-up call with me and helped me actually build and work out, and was able to kind of look through my profile and say, hey, Troy, we should change this, or this is how you should work that. And off of that, I think I always was fascinated by Cory, because here's a guy that ultimately came from hospitality and was managing restaurants at the time. And then ultimately look at him now, like he's the journey of like where he's on the pinnacle of bleeding edge technology. I think it's pretty remarkable. It shows you that, you know what, anyone can do anything as well.
Well, Cory, I think something that I'm learning, like I'm pretty new to the sales industry and I'm learning so much from Troy, but one of the biggest thing that he emphasizes every day is how do you connect with the person on the other side of the call, screen, LinkedIn message profile. What specific things can you share on this show that you try to teach other people when it comes to creating a connection that will be prosperous and successful?
Yeah, so I think I'll back up for a second and say that, you know, my company's called Cory Connects. I've been dubbed a master connector by some people that are, you know, have kind of helped form, you know, some of the Chamber of Commerces and stuff around like crypto and all that. So I take connections really seriously. And so I'll back into that for a second and say, I didn't go back and look at any, you know, I don't do CRMs. I don't keep notes. I didn't look for an email thread. This is all this off the top of my head. But with Troy, I remember our first couple of conversations, we were both lightly trying to prospect each other. I was fascinated that he played hockey, but his father had a call center in Canada, or a number of them that could have, had there been more alignment. And I think it was partially we weren't there yet as a company, but I was trying to see if they could use Shedwell. And then, you know, he bounced around and he started his entrepreneurial journey. And, you know, I was able to just tell him a few things, you know, maybe to avoid or to look at. But so, you know, the sheer fact that I'm on this show right now is a culmination of a relationship that he and I, you know, did cultivate. And you know, probably I was thinking the same thing for about 3 years ago, right? I almost was thinking 2018, but I guess it's the very beginning of 2022, so that still rings true. But so I say all that to say this: that's the way sales work, right? I now care what he's building, and I want to buy something. Now I've got a lot more money. I can buy more of it. You know, now he's got me on his show, and it turns out his idea from a few years ago is, you know, now not a priority of his, but it's become part of my ethos, right? And so there is this transfer of kind of just consciousness and awareness, and the right people just kind of gravitating towards cool concepts. That to me is what sales is all about. So when I work with people, and I'm a high-end coach, people pay me a lot of money to help them figure this whole sales cycle on LinkedIn out, and I've gotten really, really good at it, you know, to the extent that we're automating it. And my entire thing is nobody wants to be sold. You have to know where people want to be sold. If you're on IG, you don't care being sold a little bit, right? You're seeing you're seeing your ex-girlfriend in a bikini, and you're seeing what your uncle made for dinner, and then you're seeing a sponsored post, and if they're shoes and you think they're super cool and their messaging is on brand, maybe you click on it, right? You're okay to be sold there. On Facebook, you don't really want to be sold, but you understand that's part of the business model, right? They might show you some Farmville game or something, and again, you understand. Click on it if you want to play. If you're bored, if right, maybe you've run out of stuff in your newsfeed. On LinkedIn, nobody's there to be sold to, and it's super interesting because everyone's there to sell something themselves as a job. As an employee, as an employer, they're selling their book, they're selling their course, but there's no reason, it's the only platform to be if you're not selling something. So if everyone's there selling something and nobody wants to be sold to, you have to change the game up, right? You have to give people space to talk about what they're doing, right? So no one cares. Unless I've just raised $100 million funding round, or I've just closed my white whale in whatever industry, no one cares about what I'm up to, right? I can get on a live and I can have, at this point, tens of thousands of people tune in. But it used to be, I do a video of myself like rapping or like going out and doing guerrilla marketing in the middle of downtown Chicago, and people still don't care. What people care about on LinkedIn, they're not there to learn. They don't want to, know what works for somebody else. They want to know who wants to buy their stuff, right? So if you give people space to sell their stuff on your platform, right? Or even better, if you just give people these little mental vacations, right? A little 5 to 10 to 15 second thing to make them go ooh or ah or wow, or if they're stressed out because they're trying to hit a quota or they're trying to get a job on LinkedIn, and you give them 15 seconds where they forgot that their life sucked, right? That's the value. So then what you do is you redo your entire profile, starting with your headline, so that only the right people that'll resonate come see who you are, what you're all about, and decide to do business with you. And I'll give you an example. If I told people that I was a high-end coach who could help them on LinkedIn, and my content was, hey, look at how great I am. Look at this post with 5 million views. Look at this post that was shared 5,000 times. Thank you for my 400,000 followers, right? Like I might do a post and they hit 500,000, but I just broke 400,000 followers the other day. I didn't do a post about it. Who cares? There's a bunch of zeros, right? Like it has to be about giving them space, not me. However, if I have a post that gets 5 million views, my headline's pretty good. It says I create LinkedIn influencers, right? If I get 5 million views on a post, that's 5 million people that see that Cory creates LinkedIn influencers. Now, 1 million of them might not care. 1 million of them might know that they can't afford it or don't have the time, right? But there might be a couple million people that are now at least a little curious about how I do it and what it costs, right? If a percentage of them comes to my profile and then they see this beautiful banner drawn by hand by an artist that's created my NFT collection as well, and it's got me wearing 6 hats, putting pieces of the puzzle together. It says I'm a tech founder, an executive, a visionary, right? And these are all things people can go and, they can see what revenues I've done, what rounds I've raised. This is all part of the journey, right? Like, wow, let me find out some more. You go to my about section, it says, let me tell you a little bit more about myself, right? I started these companies. I've got these philanthropic things going on, whatever it is. That's where the sale happens. So now people don't feel sold to. They could be looking at this at 3 a.m. They could be looking at this on their lunch break. I didn't try to push anything down their throat. I just made them laugh for a second. Right? This headline said, let me find out a little bit more. They get there. That's the journey. And so mapping out the journey, I understand things like knowing your archetype and your avatar, and having a CRM where you can ask people how their dog Lucky was doing. Like, I'll go on a quick little tirade. I had someone about, some months ago on a call say, oh, by the way, how's your dog Raj doing? I'm like, okay, cool. You just read my dog's name off of your CRM. We just put him down a few weeks ago. He was my best friend of a decade. Like, fuck you. Right? Like sometimes that's not, I don't know you, right? Like, bro, you know nothing about me, but you wrote my dog's name down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just ridiculous.
It's almost like a superficial connection, or like they're trying so hard to make a personal connection.
Yeah, there's no real connection, right? You don't know Raj, right? You don't even know me, right? And so I just think it's about relationships and cultivating that and giving people an opportunity to kind of, get into your sales cycle at their own pace. I'm many thousands of dollars a month, why would I cram that down the throats of some people that might not even be able to put food on their kid's table? Right. So I think it's really just about empathy, and it's really about understanding, your customers' needs and wants beyond just trying to understand their needs and wants so you can sell them some more shit. Right.
I think Cory's also like a repurposing video expert, Tristan. So like that's when he's talking about how he's able to take stuff and also repurpose it on LinkedIn and get those millions of views. I think that was actually one of the original things when I was talking about Cory 3 years ago. He's like, Troy, you gotta get some repurposing videos out there. And I wasn't as talented as Cory, so I couldn't do it. But I think the great thing of what Cory said there was making a connection with the person at the end of the day versus not trying to sell them, right? And I think that's something that has held true in my sales process as well. And I think I've started to learn that through just my osmosis and knowing that, hey, you can't send a connection message with your little pitch in it, because people are ultimately going to get turned off and deterred, or they're going to connect, but they're never going to respond to you, right? And then they're going to be thrown in the dumpster. And so I think I totally agree with Cory, ultimately connecting with the person on the other side versus the actual maybe job title or profession, but also giving that person space. I think that was something that was great to let them. You can outreach, you can connect, but like giving them a little bit of flexibility to meet you, maybe not halfway, but let them come 20 or 30% of the way as well.
Agreed. Cory, I want to switch gears here quickly while we just still have you here, because you're one of the first people that I've met or had a conversation with that is so involved in the Web3 world. I'm curious to know through your experiences what have been the biggest pushbacks from your community or your connections, and how you've tried to show them how important this next phase of the internet is.
Yeah. So I think, when you start to talk about like smart homes and smart cities, people get really scared, right? They don't want Big Brother looking over their shoulder to find out how much milk they drank or, what doorway they walk through. Cool. Right. So it's really hard for me to even talk about data privacy, although I have a data privacy company. When I talk about cryptocurrency, people hear Bitcoin, they hear about this crazy couple that just stole $4 billion, and then they see me and I can't get into my damn MetaMask half the time, right? They want this 300-word essay for me to just access some of my funds. Like, I get it. So if I talk about crypto, people run the other way. DeFi, people just don't get it. If I talk about smart contracts, people kind of get a little bit curious until they find out it's right blockchain and all this, and they run the other way. So even blockchain, people don't want to hear about blockchain, because when they hear blockchain, all they hear is Bitcoin, right? And they want Bitcoin in with Forex and Nigerian princes that want to steal, whatever you've got in your checking account. So it's really difficult to have conversations about a lot of this. NFTs kind of the same way. They hit too hard. Now people think it's just like the apes and the whatever, right? The homies. It's not. None of those are landing with people, and that's what I've found. Right? I can put a little silly video on LinkedIn and get 1 million views, but if I talk about my own personal crypto that's got utility and that's going to be right, it's one of those things that'll be a 10,000x ROI. Nobody cares, right? People don't want to hear about, especially an aspirational endeavor. But when I talk about Web3, especially for people that don't know what it is, and then they understand that it's just basically the next internet, they're going, well, what does that mean? Well, it's more private and it's more platform agnostic. What do you mean? It means you don't need to log into a bunch of different sites, right? Your device, whenever you're on, should know that it's you, right? So wherever you go, your footprint should be with you. It should be not filling out the same form 5 times. Mm-hmm. It should be not having, right? This is Web3. Web3 should be built on a blockchain so that there's some custody and some ways to kind of discern the flow and to get more insights, and those can be leveraged in any way. What we're doing at Information is giving people their own data back. So if it's monetized, you get some money for it. And if you never want anybody to know anything about you and your behavior and your whatever, that's fine too. But to me, it's just a safer environment. It's a less siloed environment. And I laugh because although I wish I wasn't an Apple guy, most of the stuff I own is Apple, right? My cat my cat stole my earbuds, so I went and got the Beats by Dre. I've got I gave my stepdaughter my Apple Watch because I didn't want it. But for the most part, right, I've got my computer's Apple, my tablet, my phone, right? Like it's all Apple. So I'm kind of stuck there. But Apple and Microsoft don't get along. LinkedIn is Microsoft, right? Microsoft's making a big push into the metaverse. They just bought Activision Blizzard. That's like $70 billion, I think. It was like 50% of their free cash. But so I need to really, like, at the moment, understand that this is a pain point. It's a pain point to not be able to use Microsoft Teams on my iPhone, or to not be able to share my photos with the push of a button or on Bluetooth with somebody with an Android phone because I've got the new iPhone, right? That's what Web3 is completely just taking away. It's saying technology is technology. And I really care about our environment and our earth and things of that nature. When I see the Web3 people saying, how can we make blockchain more eco-friendly, right? How can we not only reduce gas fees, which is super important, but actual gas, right? How do we make this less of a power suck? How do we make this so that our kids and grandkids won't suffer just because we wanted to mine a bunch of crypto? And that to me is all part of Web3. So I think it's a much easier conversation, right? People want to hear about the internet of the future, and they want to hear that it's safe and secure, and they want to hear that it's, more platform agnostic, and it won't matter what kind of phone you've got in your pocket or something. So I don't know. Hopefully that answered your question a little bit.
No,
but.
it definitely does, and it makes me feel like when people don't understand it, and it's almost like they're like, oh my God, this would take so much work on my end just to understand it. So they avoid it. I guess I'm wondering is, how do you think Web3 is going to impact a business like Greencube, or like where does Greencube fit into the Web3 world, and how is that going to improve it, make things easier for customers, for employees, for Troy? Like where's that world? That's where I'm starting to think.
Yeah, so I think a lot of that comes down to the data analytics, because if you're a company that's doing prospecting, doing sales, doing marketing, anything in that world, right now the data you're getting is disparate. It's from a bunch of people who wish you didn't have it. You're paying money to some third party, right? And so people are getting these cold emails, or they're getting these messages, or they're getting these pop-ups, or whatever it might be. It's frustrating. It's annoying. It's invasive, right? Frankly, it's unwelcome. Now with Web3, right, and stuff like we're building an information, just very shameless plug, but is the people whose data you get now actually wanted you to have it. They might have actually gotten some of the money that you paid for it. How much better of a conversation is that? Hey, Greencube, we know you got our data because you paid some money. We got some, and we said that we were good with you having it. What are you selling? Right? Like just a completely different vibe. These type of insights where it's like, I'll give you an example. My best friend wanted some new shoes. I got some new shoes the other day. They're phenomenal. They're the Nike Vapor Airs, and they're just the best thing ever. I love them. And I'd ordered them from Amazon. They didn't fit. I sent them back. But see, I ordered them from Amazon. I realized they didn't look and feel like Nikes. I just went to the Nike store. Right? I got them, and so she loves them, and so she wanted a pair. Okay, cool. And they're sold out everywhere. And finally, we found them on Finish Line's website. And so I ordered them for yesterday, and I think they'll be here tomorrow, right? I love how accessible everything is. But so, okay, done deal, right? I'm a guy. I've already bought the shoes for myself. I bought them in a gradient gray. She's a girl. I bought hers yesterday. I already bought them, right? My cards are charged. They're somewhere between here and there in transit. So today on Facebook, I get an ad for these pink Vapor Max shoes.
There we go.
Or a month ago, I went to Mexico, a month and a half ago, end of December. I went to Mexico for a week or so, in Playa del Carmen, and I get back and I'm getting ads for Playa del Carmen.
Right.
I'm the last person in the world they should be spending tens of dollars. Bro, I just got back. I'm not going there with these shoes. Like, there's no way I'm buying these shoes. I just bought, right? So Web2, it's kind of like they're getting this information, they're paying money, they're wasting their money, and they're frustrating me. And I'm going, I don't want to see anything from these people again. I'll never give them $1. Whereas in Web3, it's like once that happens, you stop seeing that. Maybe now I'm getting some ads for some cool socks that go with the shoes, right? It's just forward thinking, and it's intended to make all of our lives better. And so, in other words, platforms that are doing ethical outreach and good business that want to have those insights and be able to actually leverage them, those are going to be far more welcome, far more accessible in this new internet that we're going to be experiencing.
And I think that's exciting, right, Cory? And it's like what we built here at Greencube is we've always been focused on leveraging data and then running our AI analysis on it to ultimately create something called the Greencube DNA, which is 70 different personality traits, commonality traits that you would have with the prospect on the other side as a salesperson, and really like start to leverage kind of that humanality, ultimately the humanity of the kind of the process, because it's, as kind of you said at the beginning of the call, Cory, it's lost, I think, in today's outreach processes. And when I hear Web3 is ultimately another platform for us to really just allow people to connect and really connect the people on the other side rather than the job title and the job title on the other side, I think that's pretty remarkable. And listen, we really appreciate you having you on as well, Cory. I think it's great to see everything come full circle, and I'm really proud of you as well. Just the journey you've had since that schedule and 3 years ago. It's remarkable to see.
Thank you, Troy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And an opportunity for me to meet someone who's so innovative and disruptive like yourself. I can tell that you love what you're doing, and it seems like it's your goal to help other people understand it the way you do as well. So I'm excited to see what you do going forward. And like Troy said, thanks so much for coming on Stay Hot.
Yeah,
absolutely. I love the name, love the vibe. T. Ross, it's good to meet you, and thanks to everyone for tuning in.
Bye, Cory. Have a good one, buddy.
All right, take care.
Thanks. Yeah, good to see you. Try and get to meet you too.
We'll do, buddy.
Yeah. What a guy!
Great, eh?
Dude, like the guy when he was introducing himself and just saying like everything that he's up to, like that's the type of person that I look at that is just like not afraid to take chances and always learning and like trying to innovate.
And unlocked, right? Like I think Cory's like, I met Cory like 3 years ago, and like just the evolution of his knowledge set and his willingness to learn and being a sponge. It's remarkable. And I think that's something that like any entrepreneur needs to have, or even any professional, is you got to be so in tune and constantly be in tune with what's going on in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he could have stayed in his role and said, well, we have a great scheduling software, and he's probably made millions of dollars on that. But he said, you know what, I want to evolve and I want to learn about Web3, crypto, blockchain. Yep. And I think it just shows a testament to who he is as an entrepreneur at the end of the day. And I love just selfishly how he said LinkedIn is a platform of ultimately connecting, and the other side, connecting people to people. Like that's the essence of what we're doing here, right? Mm-hmm. We're leveraging that ability to really leverage AI to connect that salesperson with the prospect, because guess what? These data privacy inundated tactics of buying hundreds of thousands of emails, blast them into automated cadences, those days are dead. And he said that the Web3 world, the future of prospecting and outreach, it is not what it is today. It's not what it was in the 90s, where you have to hit this amount of quotas. It's connecting people with people. And that's ultimately why we feel here, Tristan, as well, that we're well positioned with Greencube to ultimately be the future of prospecting, leveraging the power of AI to the next generation.
And just to wrap things up here, I think that whole world that he's now operating in, the Web3, the crypto, the blockchain, like it's still so unfamiliar to 95% of the population that it could be intimidating to come across someone like Cory and be like, okay, this guy, like, no, like he's up to something. I can't trust him because I don't understand that world at all. So I'm just going to avoid him at all costs. But that's the benefit of having a conversation like we just did with someone where you understand their background, their history, and how they're approaching that world. It makes the world of a difference.
yeah, he's probably just one of also the most genuine, I would say.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't need to talk to us. He's a 400,000 influencer
Right.
person. Like that just shows you the genuinity of who he is and as a person. But also shows you the genuinity of who he is and how he holds true to his reps, right? Like I met Cory when he was probably like not even close to what he is today, and he was great back then. But look at him now, right? So just remarkable to see that growth as well, kind of as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
And
everybody, that was Act 35, a banger. We hope we see you next week on Stay Hot.
Stay hot, baby.